We will now hear from Maria Teresa Ronderos, a Colombian investigative journalist who's reported on corruption and power. Ms. Ronderos is the former editor of Colombia's Semana magazine and creator of verdadabierta.com. She has deep experience covering conflict and civil war. She is now the director of Open Society Foundation's program on independent journalism. As we have seen, muckraking takes time and money. Part of why we're in a golden age of muckraking today is because foundations and philanthropists around the world are funding investigative reporting. Ms. Ronderos joins us to discuss the new funding models that are supporting grassroots investigative journalism around the world. She will tell us her ideas about the responsibility of funders to respect media independence. She speaks on both sides of the equation, as a journalist and as a funder of journalism. She understands how journalism is changing and how journalists and audiences are communicating and even merging. She'll also tell us why journalism is so important for open societies.
The aim of journalism is to give a better, more verified information to the public, to the people, so that people can make better decisions and participate better, be better informed. So that's the key contribution of journalism to an open society, and that has always been such. But I think in the recent years, with the digital revolution, I think there is a new demand on journalism, which is not only producing good, verified information, but also creating communities around that information and being able to know your readers and to respond to those readers, because journalism is no longer a conference, it's a dialogue, it's a conversation with the public. So when you present your best story possible, it always becomes better when you start communicating and exchanging information with your readers. And that's the fabulous thing about journalism. OSF's mission is, as it states in its title, in its name, Open Society Foundations. It's a mission to open the societies, to have pluralistic, diverse societies that can actually express freely what they think and what they believe should be the better society for that particular country or that particular region, and that minorities are heard. People have the possibility of dreaming and producing a better world. And I think that's what Open Society stands for making this place a better place to live and a freer place, because it's in the debate and in the participation of the people that you construct better societies. I think there are different kinds of donors, and it's very difficult to say the role of the donors, because they play very different roles in very different circumstances, and depending on who the philanthropist is, and if the philanthropist is alive, or it's a foundation that the person who founded it, if it's a family foundation, if it's evolved over the years and the donors are no longer here. It depends a lot. But what I've seen in the world, as the little I know in these few months or couple of years I've been in this job, is that there are some donors who want to fund journalism to improve something else. Or, for example, you fund journalism to cover health, to inform about health, so that people can make better decisions on health, or that things in the health environment can improve dramatically. Other people want to fund journalists, especially in this muckraking sort of world, because they want to make better governments, because they want governments to be accountable. So you fund investigative journalism that is specifically sort of focused in exposing hidden truths that people don't want to be known, don't want them to be known. So, for example, you want more transparency of the mining industry, or you want more transparency in the way that corporates make decisions about countries or about tax evasion. So a lot of donors fund journalism with special topics, let's say, and special results, effects on society. Other donors believe more in funding journalism just because it informs well, and letting journalists and their communities decide what's better for that community. We are more in that field. We want to fund journalists because they are producing good information, and that them and their communities that they serve decide what are the stories that are relevant for a given moment and a given country. Not us as donors, we don't decide the stories. We don't tell them the best thing you should cover is health or this or that. But that part of being a journalist is reading well your moment and knowing what are the really hard issues, what are the things that really people want to know and are not available. So I think that there's two different kinds of donors, and I think both are valid. There's no silver bullet. I think they're both valid. I'm more in the side of the ones that believe, that's my program, but in the rest of the open society, there's many programs that team up with journalism to obtain this particular information or improvement of the situation in health, education, whatever. What needs to happen in future years to make sure that global muckraking continues is the ability of global muckrakers themselves to show that a good story can save lives, a good story can save millions, and at the end of the day can make a much better life for ordinary people. Because if a good story exposes what's happening in the contamination of a mine, of a mining company, or shows how somebody is stealing money from the treasurer of the country, or shows how a corporate power is evading taxes or not paying the taxes, then people can really see what's the impact of that. But I think, and it requires a commitment by those who want to be engaged and want to be strong leaders in their societies to make a commitment to this, either through committing private funds, individual funds from citizens, or donor funds, philanthropists that really understand the power of good journalism, and especially investigative journalism, and also sometimes public funds, if they are kept separate enough so that they're not manipulated to produce, fake results or something like that.